I've got my paints laid out. We're using acrylic paints. I thought we'd do a little seascape today. And I'll give you this here. I'm using white gesso. And it is a loose white paint. It has a binder in it. Your canvases are usually already pre-coated with those, but I like to put that on to give me a smooth, wet surface. It blends the other colors as well as allowing my paint to move around. This is titanium white. It's a heavier, thicker paint. Got alizarin crimson, sap green, phthalo blue, pale cadmium yellow, and a medium cadmium yellow, and a bright red. So let's get started. I'm going to start with my gesso, my white loose gesso. I'm going to start at the top of the painting, or the canvas. Just loosely coat it so it's basically covered. Oh, about not quite halfway down. That's where our sky is going to be. I never quite cut my sky and land exactly in half. I sort of do a little above the horizon, above half for my horizon, or a little below. So I'm going to take my brush, and it's still got the white gesso on it. I'm just going to coat the corner with a little touch of the phthalo blue. And the other corner is going to be the alizarin crimson, which is the darker reds. I'm going to start up at the top and bring that right across. And you can see it's a deeper, darker blue. And as I do, I'm going to start working my way down. And you can see how it's mixing with the white gesso on there. And I'm actually going to bring the blue down into where the alizarin crimson is, and you get sort of a lavender look. Now that's nice for a sky. If you want it darker, you can just go back in, pick up the two corners, and you can darken that sky. All right, I have my pan of water here to wash my brushes. With acrylic paint, you cannot let the paint dry on your brushes. It will ruin your brushes. So always keep your brushes either cleaned or set them in the water. I also have paper towels I use. And basically when I clean my brushes, but you can use no rag as well. Now that we have that in there, I'm going to set my brush down. I'm going to pick up a fan brush, and that's exactly what it looks like, a fan. I'm going to go into my titanium white. That's the heavier white on here. I'm going to load both sides. I'm going to actually wiggle it through and then pull it straight through. I want lots of paint in there. And this is the heavier white. And with the corner, just the corner of it, I'm going to start almost small circles, pushing up a little bit, and I'm going to form my clouds coming down. Go back to my paint, put one on this side, and you can see how I'm kind of pushing up. I can flip it over and use the other side of the corner of the brush. I'm now going to go back with my clean, dry brush, and just on the base, just the bottom of these clouds. I don't want to touch the tops. I'm going to use the corner and sort of just, sort of tickle or lightly brush out the bottoms. You can see how it picks up the color underneath. I also have a spray bottle. It's got water in it. As my paint starts to dry, I can give it a quick mist. But if you do that, don't get it too wet. Otherwise, your paint will start separating and running down the painting. So just one or two little squirts. If it gets too wet, just leave it alone, let it dry a little bit before you go back in. All right, back into my whites. This time I'm gonna add just barely there, just a barely there touch of the alizarin. I'm going to pull it through. I just want to give it a slight pink look to it. Then I'm going to go back, pick up some of the white on the end. So I've got the pinks and then I picked up a little white. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to push up. And what that does is, because of that white on the edge, it's leaving the tops white and the bottom sort of the pink color. I'm going to come back, pick up a little more of just the white on the edges, and then do the same here. And you can even come up into the other cloud a little bit. And as you go down, you push a little harder, giving you that more pink look to the base. And then same thing, I'm going to go in just the base of it. Now I'm going to go back in, pick up a little more of the alizarin. That's the darker reds. Deepen that color a little more. And this time, I'm just going to tap. I think I need it a little bit darker than that. And then I'm kind of there. That's better. I'm just kind of, some of these little stringy clouds you sometimes see along. I'm just tapping. Then I'm going to go back in, just pick up the edges with the white. I didn't even clean my brush. And just right above it, tap. And this is all with the heavier white. It's not with the gesso. The gesso is the more liquidy. All right, once I got that, I'm going to put that brush in water. And I'm going to take a brush that's soft brush. Here, one of my big brush. Make sure it's clean. And lightly, very lightly, kind of pull, just pull across a little bit, just across those base clouds, those little streaks. If you lose the white, I can go back in. Let me clean my fan brush. Wipe it off. Pick up some of the, just pick up some of the white. And go back in and tap a little more of the little white on top. All right, that looks good. I like that. It's a nice little sky, seascape sky. Cleaning my fan brush, drying it, setting it aside. I'm now going to go back in to my bigger brush, pick up some more of that gesso, and then I'm going to come across and coat the bottom. All the way down to the base. You can put this on a easel to do that. I'm just doing it on a flat surface. Okay, now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that pink, the same pink I used in the clouds. And right in the center, I'm going to put some of that. And just, oh, not all the way down, just there. Then same dirty brush, I'm going to pick up some of the blues. And I'm just kind of, and I still have some of the pinks in there. And just starting there, I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of the white gesso too. And I'm going to pull it straight across. Pull some of that in. Pull some of that in. I'm leaving the pink. And this is a straight line. Keep it straight. This is going to be water. You don't want it going crooked because it looks like it's going to be running off. Water lays flat. I'm going to clean that brush. I kind of squeegee with my fingers. I get my fingers on both sides and kind of squeegee the excess water off and dry it real good. Now that I have that, I'm going to start in the pink, pull towards the side. And I'm picking up some of the blue, but I'm kind of cleaning it off in between. And then when I get down here, now that I got it, I'm kind of very lightly going across. Up here, let me kind of, all right. So now we've got the blue down there. Let me clean that brush and dry it off, set it aside. So we've got the blue down here. I'm gonna take, and you want kind of a, when you do an ocean scene, you want a straight line. So I'm gonna take one of these little flat brushes. I'm gonna go into my whites. It's a titanium, heavier whites. And just a touch of that blue. I'm even going to pick up just a little bit of that alizarin. It's almost a lavender. And with this, I'm going to kind of almost draw a little straighter line across here. And even come across here a little bit into the pinks. And I'm going to come out here a little bit. Wipe that off, pick up some of the white gesso in the pinks, and in here, continue dragging that across, and then just plain white. So now I have, and I kind of form a straight line. Up here where I got too high up into the clouds, I'm going to go pick up some of my alizarin, and I'm going to kind of straighten that line out a little bit. Take a little bit of the white and maybe form some stringy clouds along there. Maybe I'll put a little land there. All right, I'm going to clean that brush. So we basically have a straight line now coming across, which is what I want. I'm going to come in, I'm going to get a little twiggy brush. I'm going to roll it through some of the white. And right here, I'm going to do the white gesso mixed with some of the titanium. And right here, I'm just kind of on the edges, almost a rocking motion. If it doesn't come off, get a little bit of water and loosen that paint up a little bit. Got a little bit of pink and white here. And then back to just a straight white. It's almost, and I just want some out there. I'm going to pick up with some of the blue mixed with the white. And in here, I'm going to do a few. It's just a little rocking motion like this. Just, and then back to the whites and put a little bit of that in there. I just want some movement back in this water. I just want to see a little bit of movement. All right, that's good enough. It's just something back there, makes it look like it's moving. I'm gonna clean that brush. I'm gonna go back, pick up a flat brush. I'm gonna mix a little bit of my green and bright red. When you mix the two, you get a nice brown color. If you have Van Dyke brown or one of those darker brown colors, you can certainly use that. But you can mix a nice brown. I'm even going to touch, just a touch of the blue in it. I want to darken it, but it's mostly the bright red and green. By adding the blue, it gives it almost a deep dark brown, almost black. I don't want black. I want keep it more towards the brown. Up here, I'm going to bring out just slightly above the horizon. I don't want it right with the ocean. I want it above. I'm going to bring out and maybe bring that down. And you can see how that makes a nice deep brown. And I'm going to bring it down into here a little bit. And some land. I'm going to touch a little bit of that bright red. Mix it. And then right across the top, maybe give it a little pull. So you have almost a little highlight there. Clean my brush. I can come across that a little bit. Pulling it down. We got a little headland there. I'm going to go back and take my fan brush. I'm going to pick up some white. Doesn't matter which one. I'm mixing sort of the two whites together. And right here, I'm just kind of pulling, tapping along, and getting a little, and actually pushing up. You can even pull up like the water splashing there. But basically, I'm just tapping along there. You can even use their fan brush to do some of this white, since I have it on there. Just sort of that little rocking motion. Right. I'm going to take my little fan brush. I'm going to pick up some of the brown with a touch of the yellows in it. Maybe up here. Pick up a little more. I'm gonna add some, make it a little darker with a little browner. Some trees, something growing up here. You can even add, make it look like maybe some palm trees here. If you roll the brush, you get a nice sharp point. And you can even get some of them. You can even touch a little bit of the greens in there. I'm gonna clean the brush, and then I'm going to go just strictly through the browns and one side white. But mostly it's going to be brown on one side. And I'm going to pull down some to get those browns on there. Some little tree trunks. So we got some trees growing or something. Something's growing up there. And put some, maybe some shrubs or something. So we just look something back there. Pull across the bottom just to set them down. All right, I want to make a wave. So I'm going to take I'm going to go in with some of the blues. And right here, I want to make a wave coming in. And it pulls out through there. Clean my brush. just kind of go in and pull that, kind of pull it out. And that's just sort of a guideline. Go back to my fan brush. I'm going to go into my titanium white. And here, I'm going to touch just kind of with the corner, following that wave. Then maybe here, I'm going to kind of pull that over. See if that wave is coming over. Right there, and right along there. I'm gonna go into some of my blues right here, kind of pull that back and give you the shadows underneath. And then I'm actually gonna add some shadows. In fact, I think I'm gonna touch a little bit of alizarin into that blue, get it almost a lavender. And a little more blue than that. All right, and then over here, we'll get a little, I'm gonna take my big brush and just lightly and tap that out. And then kind of pull back just a little bit on that. Come back with my whites. And then I'm gonna put some foam right along in here. And this I'm gonna kind of pull out. I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow, and this is on my finger, right in here. Put a dot, wipe my finger off, and kind of, it's gonna pick up some of that blue underneath. If it doesn't pick up a lot of blue, you can touch the blue, but very little blue. I mean, very little. Just touch a little spot, come back. And you sort of got that little eye of the, you can even touch a little bit of white and sort of give it a little bright spot right there. I'm going to come back with the whites. And in here, I'm going to kind of even pick up a little bit of the blues. I want a little shadow color underneath. You need the darks in order to see the white. I'm going to pick up some white on the other side. And then I'm going to add a big splash. And I'm going to take my knife, pick up some of that browns, maybe. There's a nice stone or rock or something right there. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of the white and red. Just give it a little bit of shadow color on top. Underneath. Pick up some more of the white. You can see the water coming around it. And you can even, right right here where it's hitting. Make sure you got it. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull a little bit of that water down and go back to that rocking motion. I take my fan brush, wet it, pick up some of that white. And right here, let's roll that brush so I get a nice sharp point. I'm gonna bring some of these little lines down. I'm actually gonna go into some of the blues, maybe get some of the darker. If it doesn't come off, just add a little water to your brush. There's some darker lines coming off of there. And right in here, I'm even gonna add where this white is. It's foaming, add some lines. In fact, I think right here, I'm gonna even put a little under here. By doing that, it'll pop that white out a little more. And the same over here. And then let's get a little more water in my brush. Get that. You can see where it's darker over on the edges. And in fact, I'm gonna even add some darks in here. A little bit, not much, just along that edge. All right. I'm gonna clean that. I'm gonna take some of those browns that I made, and right here, I'm gonna kind of drag that along. Right along that edge there. Maybe there's a little sand or beach here. I'm gonna take some of the white gesso and pull that along. Take my bigger brush, kind of pull back a little bit on those. And I'm gonna pull straight down and then lightly go across here. Not up on the top, I don't want to touch those. In fact, I think I'll pick up a little bit more of the brown. And right in here. A little more of that brown right here. And it looks like a reflection here along the beach. I'm gonna just go in straight white. And right in here, kind of as if the waves were coming in, right along that beach area as well. Take some of the deeper blue right underneath, just here and there, and even here along. Pick up some white maybe. And right in here. So we've got a little beach area. Gonna add just a little more white right in there. Really make that splash up. So we've got ourselves a nice little ocean scene. And add just a little bit of the white here. You take a look, see what you need. You can come back in over here. You can do a little bit of that. We can also take our flat brush, take some of that red, the bright red, and the green, sap green, mix those together. I'm going to pull one side through white, one side through brown, maybe here. I'm going to start up here, bring that down, just pull, pushing a little harder. Maybe there's a palm tree there. Let's go in, pick up some more. One side white, one side that. Maybe we have another one. So we've got a couple palm trees there. On the base, we're just going to kind of put a little sand in there. You can even take some more of the brown, kind of pull down a little bit, go across as if there's water underneath. You can even tap on a little bit here. Now that we have that, I'm going to go in with the fan brush. I'm going to pick up just straight green, load both sides, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white, just to lighten that up a little bit, not much. I don't want to lighten it up a lot. I want to keep it fairly dark. And I've got my brush loaded, and I'm going to get it real sharp. And I'm going to take, and there's a palm leaf there. There's one coming out there. There's another one coming down, maybe one here. There's another one there. I'm going to do the same here. All those clouds we made, I know. So we've got our, I'm going to take that, I'm going to open it up, just like that. Just take the top and open it up, and then I'm going to touch and pull. Touch and pull. Do the bottom, the top. Let's get some palm leaves there. If it's not coming off, just touch the water. I mean, just barely touch it. Go back into your colors, separate them. Right here. Touch and pull. It's almost a flicking motion. Back to your colors. Just make sure you separate them. We've got one here. We're going to do the same here. Figure out which one is over top of which one. And back to my color, my greens. Open that brush up. We're going to put some right here. Some here. We can even put some, oh, maybe a few flying that way. And we got another one right here. You can even go in, touch a little bit of your yellows, maybe some of your whites. Lighten that up. You can even come in, make sure you open those up. And not everywhere, just here and there. You're going to add some highlights. So you've got a couple palm trees. If you want, you can take a little of the light color, mix with some of the browns, maybe even a little bit of that pink you put in the sky. You can even come along and touch along here. Maybe just tap, tap, tap. Give it a little highlight on the edges. Pick up a little more. Just one side. Just kind of Pick up a little bit of the browns. On the other side, if you get too much of one color, you can always pick up the other one. It just makes that bark look a little rougher. And to finish up, I'm going to pick up some more of the yellows. Same dirty fan brush. I'm just picking up some yellows, maybe even a touch of the reds, the bright red. Down here, we can even pull up a little something growing. Let's touch a little more of the greens. Just with the corner, just kind of some grasses growing up around the base of that. Clean the brush. Pick up my fan brush, or my twiggy brush. Pick up some of those yellows and greens and stuff, and you can pull some of that. Well, it doesn't come off. Add a little more water, get it runny. And you can pull some grasses up here. And just put something along the base there. We got a good painting going. I think I'm going to add just a few more of these white little lines coming through here. You can play with this, you can work with this however you want it. You can even take a little bit of the water and have it sort of running over as if it's running over the rock. But I think I'm going to call this finished. I'm going to take some of my nice bright red, put some water to it, roll my brush, and I'm going to sign this one. And I hope you enjoyed this one.